Welcome to Everyday Linux User. Today I'm going to be reviewing Endeavour OS. We'll start off, we'll understand why I'm reviewing Endeavour OS. So if I go to Google, but if we search for DistroWatch, and go to distrowatch.com, you will see that Endeavour OS is the second on the page hit ranking. Now page hit rankings basically mean that from the DistroWatch website, which distros have been clicked on the most. So last time out I reviewed MX Linux, which was number one. I'm now doing Endeavour. Previously I've done Mint, and I've done Ubuntu, and I've done Elementary. So yes, today it's Endeavour OS. Let's have a look at the Endeavour OS website. Here it is. It's called Cassini Neo is here, and you can explore that. So Endeavour OS, a terminal-centric distro with a vibrant and friendly community at its core. A vibrant and friendly community, the beating of the heart of this distro to guide you through your journey. Latest features and download, experience our distro with a light and always evolving base. And you can read and download on our latest release page, and then discovery, the Endeavour OS knowledge base, the place where you can find our wiki articles and video tutorials. Okay, so we can scroll down, probably find out a bit more. So it's got an easy to use installer. There is a video linked to this video that shows you the install process, and I can confirm it is a reasonably easy process. There's 8 desktop environments and 1 window manager that you can choose from when you're doing the online installation. If you use the offline installation, then you get the XFCE version, but you can install the other desktops if you choose. I mean, the good thing about Endeavour when you install it is you kind of get a vanilla version of the operating system. So you don't get loads of applications that you don't want. Once it's installed, it's up to you to find and choose the application you want to use, and I'll show you that process a little bit later on. There's 5 community editions to choose from, and basic installation ready to tweak. So this is the software that comes. So you essentially get Firefox, Pacman, which is the terminal package manager. You get Yay, which helps you install from the Arch user repository. Basic firewall, multimedia framework, Pipewire, and NVIDIA installer, and downgrade, which is a terminal operated package that lets you easily downgrade a package. So essentially, if you hit problems with because Endeavour is Arch based, everything's completely up to date all the time, but sometimes this can cause problems where the latest version breaks something, so you can downgrade that to a previous version. There's a welcome app, which is on the screen that I showed earlier, and I'll show you that in a bit more depth in a minute. And there's some more stuff here. So the first thing that I noticed when I wanted to install Endeavour OS, like everyone else is are going to want to find the ISO image. So I looked at downloads and help, and I just clicked the link there, and then I clicked on latest release, and then I started reading. And the thing I noticed was there's a hell of a lot of text here to read. Loads of it for different versions. But the actual downloads are right at the bottom here. Now, I don't know if that's deliberate or not, but a nice great big button around about here that says download now, which takes you straight to the bottom for people that don't want to read all the stuff before. Maybe reading the manual is a good thing. It's an Arch thing after all, read the manual. Other than that, you just choose the download ISO from where closest to you, and that will download the ISO, and then you can burn it to USB. One thing I did notice about that as well, I like to use Etcher for creating USB drives, but down here you got this create install media, and if you click on read more here, there's a warning. It actually shows you how to create live USBs from Linux and Windows, which is a good thing. quite often my videos just use it from a Windows point of view, assuming you're going to be coming from a Windows point of view. But I always use Etcher because I know that works on Linux and Windows, so that's why I always use Etcher. But look here, there's a warning. It says, we do not recommend using Etcher, as there are privacy concerns. Etcher is anonymously reporting errors and usage information. Now, when I use Etcher, it doesn't ask for any personal information at all. You just run it, you select your ISO, you select your USB drive, and you click flash. If they're collecting usage information as to whether the application crashed or not, or how often it's being used, and it's just a purely counter exercise of trying to gauge how much usage their product's getting, I'm not sure that's a terrible thing. I get the privacy concerns and stuff like that, but I'm not sure that's a terrible thing. They've definitely got no personal information unless they're scouring your hard drive as it's running, and looking for personal files in your documents folder and stuff. I mean, I'm pretty sure that would be more than a warning. So the recommended way for creating a USB drive from Windows is to use this USB writer for Windows. It's good. It's quite easy. Look, you just click browse, find the ISO, pick your USB drive, click write. Couldn't be simpler. You can use Rufus as well if you want to. So that's the web page. So here we are. This is the default screen you get to when you install Endeavour OS. I've installed the KDE version. There's 2 or 3 reasons for doing that. One, I've not reviewed any distro that's used KDE desktop, so this will help when I want to do a comparison of desktop environments in a future video. There is another one that I'll come to a bit later on, and it was a little bit calculated on me knowing that I'm using Arch-based distribution. If you're not a novice computer user, but you shouldn't be using Endeavour OS, I don't think, if you're a complete novice to installing operating systems. I don't think this is the one for you, really. But what I will show you, if you've got a little bit of experience of Linux, this will help you not have to use the command line quite so much when you're installing packages. That's why I've used KDE. I could have used GNOME as well, but I'm using KDE. All will be revealed a bit later on. Other than that, when you install Endeavour OS, you get a completely vanilla desktop. So what you installed during the online install is what you get. So essentially, you get Firefox, and because I've got KDE, I've got a few KDE centric tools. It's worth pointing out you don't get LibreOffice by default. I've installed that. I wanted to test out the package management to make sure it worked properly. So that doesn't come installed by default. Other than that, you don't really get anything other than the Firefox. The OBS Studio I've installed myself to record this video. So you've got a completely blank canvas, so you can install anything you like on it. You don't have to uninstall stuff you don't like because you chose what apps you wanted when you first installed the operating system. So the welcome screen shows you links to the website, links to a wiki, news, forum, donate, about welcome. Then you've got the after install. So this is useful to keep your packages up to date. So you update your Arch mirrors, you can update the Endeavour mirrors, and then you can update your system. Then you've got Pacman cleanup. You can change your display manager. You can change the Endeavour OS wallpaper. Choose one of the Endeavour wallpapers, download more wallpapers, quite a lot there about wallpapers. Logs for troubleshooting, and select the initial welcome tab. After that, you've got the assistant, which helps update the system, update system software, etc. You can browse all the Arch packages, browse all the AUR packages. I'll go to these again in a minute. Application categories, and then information about KDE, tips, more about package management, firewalls. So this is help about the system. And then add more apps, which again you can browse the repositories and choose popular apps to install. So before we start with installing software, let's check the internet connection situation. Anyone who's been following along, my computer quite often doesn't have the latest drivers installed for connecting to the internet. Now this should, because it is a Arch-based distro, so it should be completely up to date with the latest kernel. If I click down here, I'm actually plugged into the Ethernet at the moment, so that's why I've got an internet connection. But if I go down here, I can click, and it should give me, and you can see I've got a list of Wi-Fi connections available. So that's how you would connect to the internet on KDE. You just choose the network and then choose which of them you want to connect to, and then if it's a secured one, you'd have to enter your password. So straight out of the box, the network's working correctly, which is good. Let's look at the wallpaper situation. So you can choose one of the Endeavour wallpapers. Click that. I haven't got any other than the default one installed, which is where the next link comes in. Download more Endeavour wallpapers. It's asking for my password. And now I should be able to choose one of the Endeavour wallpapers, and hopefully I'll have more in that folder. There you go. Change a wallpaper. You can obviously use KDE, right click, configure desktop and wallpaper, and you can choose from here. You can actually get new wallpapers. You can add your own image if you've got them. So if I click get new wallpapers here, it's going to get me the ones for KDE. So there's quite a lot here. These are quite cool. So if you click one, you can click install. I don't think it appears straight away. Yes, it does. There you go. Wow, it's quite bright, isn't it? I think we'll go back to the default wallpaper at this stage. It's a little bit slow doing it, but it does get there. Right, so that's the wallpaper situation. This isn't a review of KDE because Endeavour OS, as mentioned earlier, you could have installed any one of the 8 desktop environments. I just so happened to install KDE, so we will have a little look at it, but it's not important for the review of Endeavour because you can choose the desktop environment that suits your preference the most. I mean, for beginners, KDE is a very good one to choose. So let's have a look at adding some more apps in there. So under here, you can, first off, let's choose some popular apps to install. And you get this application quick start installer. So audio players, we've already got one installed actually as part of KDE. So Elisa music player. So let's try that out. It's importing tracks from my music folder. So in theory, I should be able to click on here and you can see I've got a list of artists. As you can see, that works okay. So I don't know if you need another audio player to install here. Depends if you want to choose one to your liking. There's a list of radio stations that you can listen to as well based on your own preferences. You can add some more in your own. I'm not sure what. I've never used Elisa before, so I don't know if you can create your own playlists or how easy it is to create your own playlists. But if you do want to choose a different audio player, click on here. Elisa is the one's installed by default, but I like Rhythmbox, so Rhythmbox is there. And if I want to install Rhythmbox, I can just click that and click install. You enter your password, and you can see it's now installed in the packages. Proceed with installation. and it should work. You get all these things go to 100%, and it's quite verbose with the information it's given. You'll notice down in the bottom right-hand corner, I've got a reboot recommended. But click enter to resume, and now we'll go to Rhythm Box, and it appears, and it should load up. And as you can see, it's working okay. So, browsers, by default, I've got Firefox in the list here. You've got Chromium, Conqueror, Vivaldi, etc. None of those are, well, Firefox, Chromium, your choice. Tor browser's there if you want to use that. Under communications, Telegram, and there's a few other chat programs. Development tools, code, I've installed that myself, and I installed PyCharm, Community Edition. They don't come by default, but I installed them. You can see if they're bold that they're installed already, but these are also available, so you can IntelliJ for Java, NetBeans. Email programs, again, Kmail came by default, so did Cube. Now, it's worth noting that Kmail works perfectly fine. Cube, it comes up with a message. Basically, you have to lower your Google Mail settings if you're using something like Gmail so that it can run. So I recommend using Kmail over Cube. Image processing, I haven't installed any, but you can see there's GIMP, Inkscape, standard ones. Image viewers, Gwenview's the default one that came with my KDE because it's part of the KDE project. You can use any one of these other ones, Shotwell. Now, normally I recommend Shotwell if you're using something like XFCE or GNOME. But because we're using KDE, it's part of the KDE project, we may as well use Gwenview. We'll come back to that later. Math, a few math programs there. We'll come back to miscellaneous tools. Office. I installed LibreOffice. There's two versions available. There's the fresh one, which comes with all the latest features, or there's a still one, which is a stable version of it. I don't think I use any features of LibreOffice that require me to use the latest features, but at the same time, I don't use anything that's going to stop the latest features working, I would have thought. PDF viewers comes with one by default. There's personal finance tools, personal security, text editors, torrent, and video players. Worth noticing, VLC was installed by default. I did not install that. So that's how you install quick applications that Endeavour have curated to say these are the ones that can be quickly installed. But obviously there are programs that you might want that aren't in that list. So you can do browse all Arch packages. And this takes you to the Arch Linux page, and you can search for the packages here. And likewise, you can browse all AUR packages, which takes you to the AUR Arch Linux page where you can search for the packages. So how do you install packages using Endeavour that aren't listed here? Well, we'll start off. Say you want to install Spotify. So you can type pacman, and pacman is a package manager. This points to the Arch repositories, and -s and then a lowercase s enables you to search, and then you can search for, say, Spotify. And you can see it's listed a number of packages. So I can now install those packages. You need sudo for this. Pacman -s Spotify launcher. This is what I meant about Endeavour not necessarily being for every user, because not everyone wants to use the terminal. But that's how easy it is to install a package. If you can remember pacman -S, small lowercase s, and then the sort of package you want to install, it will list the packages, and then all you have to do is remove the little s, to install the package. So pacman minus big S and then the package you want to install. And sure enough, under my multimedia, I should have a Spotify launcher. We'll see if it works. It does. So that's perfectly fine. What about Steam? And Valve's digital software delivery system, Steam. It's there. So we could install Steam that way. I'm not going to do that because I want to show you something else. One more. Let's try Chrome. We'll type Chrome first. And so that's where we started. Chrome OS fonts, Chrome drivers. Oh, no Chrome. So how do you install Google Chrome? Well, so new window here. We're going to do yay minus S, and we'll do Chrome. Could not find. Let's try Google Chrome. And then you can see all I have to do is type the number that I want. So there's the number 1 there. So if I type 1 there. Now, the problem I've got is I installed Chrome previously, so I uninstalled it again. So it's already there. So generally, you just type the 1 and it works. So this time I've typed the I because I've already got the package built. That's why it says build files already exist. And now it's installed in Google Chrome, and you can see it doing it. And eventually, it will build it, and Chrome will appear in my list of packages. Type in your password. And here we go, it's installing it. So if I look under my internet now, I've now got Chrome, and if I want to pin it to my taskbar, this is a KD thing. I can just do add to panel, and there it is. Right, so that's how you can install packages using Yay. Remember earlier I said about making it easier for people that are not familiar to the command line to install packages. Well, that's why I chose KDE. So, and you'll also remember earlier on that under the choose package to install, I skipped the MISC system tools. So if I go here, Flatpak's available. So we're going to click Flatpak and install now. This isn't a silver bullet, by the way. Not every package appears in the Flatpak repository. So you possibly still want to learn how to use pacman and the yay commands. But now I've got Flatpak installed, we only need one more pacman command. And that pacman command is, well, don't forget sudo, pacman -s and discover. Now discover is a KDE package manager. If you're using GNOME, you could use the GNOME software manager. So now I've got discover available. It's worth pointing out after doing that, you see down here I've got the reboot recommended. You need to reboot because packages you install via Discover that are Flatpaks don't instantly appear in the menus unless you do the reboot. So I do recommend doing the reboot. So at this point, rather than using Yay to install Chrome, I could have just used this to install Chrome, and it would have installed the Flatpak version of Chrome. And I can do the same for Steam. So I can install Steam this way. And hopefully you can see that's a much easier way of installing software. I am going to reboot my machine because it hasn't appeared in the launcher. So I'll see you in a second. So rebooted. Now under games, Steam's available. Now, you don't have to reboot every time you install a Flatpak. It's just the first time because I installed the Flatpak and Discover. It didn't automatically work. It's just the first time. As you can see, it's now loading Steam up. I've already installed Steam previously, so it's already gone through the updates and all that stuff. All I have to do now is sign in with my username and password, and it will work. But when you first run it, it's going to do all the updates to bring up the latest version of Steam. So, as you can see, I haven't got the welcome screen here. So if you want to use, so you can use Discover now. This is the reason I suggested using KDE. You all know was it gives you the software center with Flatpaks. For me, Flatpaks are actually becoming more and more a great thing about Linux, because it means whatever distribution that uses Flatpaks, you've got no worries about, do I need to learn a command line package manager? As you can see, I use one command to install a Flatpak, one to install Discover, and there I've got access to all the packages without having to use a command line at all. So when I first started using Linux, the major issue that we had was, did the hardware work? Could you use printers? Could you use the audio devices work? Can you get on the network? And then you had problems. How do you install packages? And now that's the last remaining thing, is how do you install packages on a system? Every other thing about distributions is almost the same. Choose your desktop environment, and basically the only difference between distributions is what packages are installed in the first place and which version of the kernel are they on. So the great thing about Endeavour, it's up to date all the time. It's because it's using Arch, always up to date. You've got a vanilla desktop environment, so you install what you want. And then because of being able to use things like Flatpak, you can install the applications easily. You've seen that my network works. So the next thing I want to show you is my printer. So if I go into print settings, I've set up these printers. Now it didn't work using the CUPS interface, but that's because they're HP, which is why when I installed the HP device manager. Now that was in the list of options to install, so it seemed obvious to install it. So that worked perfectly well, and I can print to my printer. To summarize then, Endeavour OS, my experience was generally really good. Installation was easy. The setup was quite easy. I was using KDE, which made my life easier as well. Installing packages, installing the common ones are quite easy. You will need to get used to the Pacman command line tool and Yay as well if you want to install other packages, or you can use my trick to install Discover and Flatpak to get Flatpak packages. Hardware support is good, everything worked out of the box, and that is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click the thumbs up, and please subscribe for more content from Everyday Linux User. Thank you for watching.